All right, everybody, welcome back. Today's guest is Josh Jones. You probably know him as the president of Operational Speed Supply. He's the face of their podcast, the Sit Rep podcast. Operational Speed Supply is a sponsor of Camaro Fest, Optimus Ultimate Street Car, and probably more. I think you probably have a little race car in there too, whenever you have time.
Just a little
So,
bit. Just a
uh,
little bit.
welcome to the show, Josh.
Hey, thanks, brother. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. I'm doing
Good,
great.
man.
So,
Good.
uh, it seems like just a few years ago, I'd never even heard of Operational Speed Supply. And then all of a sudden, it's just out there in the world and it's all over my feed pretty much every time I open any social media. So, I'd love for you to just share with everybody what the history of the company it is and what you do and
Yeah, man.
everything
Well,
else.
yeah, the fact that it's kind of just appeared out of somewhere and now everywhere, that's a good thing. We're really proud of that.
Mm,
No, so my background, I just retired out of the military after 23 years.
yeah,
And
congrats.
in the midst of COVID, at the time I was working in an R&D position for mobility platforms, specifically SOCOM special operations vehicles. And I would go out to Nevada to the testing center all the time, and we were, evaluating vehicles. The last three vehicles would that they have, fielded for the military, I had a hand in some of the evaluation and some of the, modifications that came about with those vehicles.
Cool.
And I've always been a car guy. I've been autocrossing since 2012. Grew up with it with my dad and everything. And COVID hit and it locked everything down. If you were not in some sort of a position to go deploy and do things like that, then it was, hey, go home and take your computer and work from the house. So
Hmm.
that's what I did. Well, in the meantime, I started working on my car a little bit more. I've got my third gen, and while I was working on that, I'd have my work computer sitting there and answer any emails that might come through and just kind of deal with things there. And as that was going on, I started getting phone calls from friends like, hey, I got a Camaro I want to do some stuff to. I've got this, I got that. Like, what do I do? And so I'd send them a cart full of parts from, another parts distributor. And
Hmm.
after about the third time I did it, I realized I need to start selling the stuff myself rather
Right.
than send them somewhere else. And so, I mean, everyone was buying stuff at retail regardless. So that's what I did.
Hmm.
And talked to my brother, and he was all about it. My brother is still active duty. He's getting ready to get out in about a year. And we come up with a business plan. We spent about 6 months doing some really in-depth research on the industry. And as much as that research was helpful, it still wasn't even a half of what we really needed to know. And we're still learning even to this day. But in the fall of October of 2020, we officially went open for business, and we were rocking and rolling and moving forward. And it was, that next year we made a decision to help sponsor UMI Motorsports Park to kind of try to get our name out there a little bit. And we've been racing there for a while, and that was a really good program. The guys up at UMI are awesome folks, and and then fast forward to 23. Chris Brown, he's one of the partners with the business. He was out racing at SEMA, and I was out there and helping him dial in his car for the Invitational for Optima. And we made the decision at that point that we need to be involved with that series. And so in the spring of 24, I worked with Jimmy Day, and we became one of the associate sponsors to the series, and that has kind of really helped catapult us forward into where we're at now, where last year, the opportunity came to purchase Camaro Fest, and so we are actually the owners of the event, not just the sponsor, but we
Oh,
actually own the event, and that
nice.
is our key to the world now. And
Hmm.
then we've got a few other things that are kind of moving on the docket. We're going to be at Power Tour and Drag Week and Havlic's Fastest Streetcar Shootout this summer as well. All with a partnership with Redline Oil, and then continuing what we've been doing with the Ultimate Streetcar Association while kind of building our brand with Camaro Fest.
Hmm. Was there like certain brands that you knew you needed to partner with right away?
I wouldn't say it was that we knew. I think the big thing was we already had a relationship with UMI. I'd known Ramey for the better part of 6 or 7 years at that point, And I had worked with back when I first met him, I was racing a fifth gen Camaro, and they were working on some fifth gen coilovers and stuff at the time. And him and I talked quite a bit on what they were doing development wise. And they ended up choosing not to kind of really run down the fifth gen path. It was a little bit of a saturated market at the time. And I had sold my car, but when I bought my third gen, they were the first place I went to for my third gen to start building it. And so I'd already known them. And at LS Fest East one year, I think it was the COVID year actually, I told him what we were doing. And he's like, well, do you want to sell our stuff? I said, absolutely. So we got linked up with them, and then it just kind of started to work and moving forward. And so we didn't have any one relationship that we thought would be ideal. It was mainly who was going to give us the time of day. There's a lot of basement retailers that sell online, and they come out, and who's gonna actually have a conversation with us and talk to us. And that's really who we have partnered with, and who's been our primary key relationships moving the business forward.
Right. Yeah. And like you said, they got retailers all over. And, I guess you have the experience in the field and, you have that value add where you can not only sell the part, but you can get on the phone and, make suggestions on, I guess,
Yeah.
everything really.
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, that's one of the things we offer, and people that buy one of our coilover packages, and we do it a little different. Like anybody can go buy Vikings. You can call Viking Direct and buy a set of Viking coilovers, and they're going to send them to you. But we go a step further with anything that we offer. If we don't have it in stock, then we have it come to us first, and we assemble everything. So when people get like a coilover kit from us, it is a complete ready to bolt in package. There's no assembly required, so it's coming to the customer ready to bolt in. And not only that, but if they're going to be at an event, give us a heads up, let us know, and we'll make ourselves available on a Saturday or a Sunday to help with dialing in, handling and things like that. We had two different drivers that were actually running at Nashville this past weekend for Drive Auto Extreme. And funny enough, they were both in six gens, two polar opposite builds. One's an iron block L8T on, coilovers, and the other one's a 1LE based on coilovers. And so two totally different, kind of directions with the six gen. And we were able to dial their cars in, and I think they ended up running within two tenths of each other by the time the weekend was over.
Dang.
So it worked out pretty good.
Yeah. So obviously it seems like the business is, I guess, more focused towards the autocross road race community. Um, are you getting any customers from any other racing, like drag race or drift or anything like
We've
that?
supported a couple drag racers,
Mm,
and we what if it's like on a third, fourth gen platform, and and the Camaros specifically, we've got a pretty good handle on that. We understand the geometry, and we can work on the drag race side of that really well. But we don't focus on that because our experience is in the autocross and the handling side of things. And
mm,
so I don't want to claim to be something I'm not when it comes to building, a car, a drag car. Now, do we want to get into it? Absolutely. But
mm,
I also don't want to sell ourselves as the complete suspension experts. When it comes to the handling side, that's where we really thrive in.
mm,
But we do have a couple drag cars that we've supported, and we're starting to, dabble in that more and more, especially with this year, with us doing drag week and, the fastest street car shootout. So,
mm,
but we focused that, but I think outside of the autocross road race side, more of the street cruiser side, we get a lot of street cruiser type folks that they want coilovers, but maybe they don't want to race it, but they want to do some spirited driving, or they want to go to Tail of the Dragon. So we can focus on that just maybe a little less aggressive than we would for a build for USCA or something.
mm. Are you stocking any parts or is everything drop ship?
We stock some things,
Mm,
we drop ship some things. It just depends on what it is. We keep a ton of fluids in stock. So like Redline, we keep a lot of Redline in stock. When it comes to like Vikings and things like that, we keep a couple different sets that we move quite a bit on. And then like with our fifth gen stuff specifically, we also keep new GM upper strut bearings, because the reality is most of these cars are pushing 100,000 plus miles at this point. And so that's something that we include in our coilover kit if they're not having any they're not putting a camber plate on it.
okay. Nice.
So
Nice.
it's an expansion that we've really wanted to push for a couple of years, and now we're in a place that we can. So slowly but surely getting to the point where, it'll be a retail front. People can just walk up to us, out here in Florida and be like, "Hey, I want coilovers," and we'll have them sitting there. So
Nice. So at the drag week and the other streetcar, are y'all gonna have just like a tent out there?
we're taking the trailer out there. We'll have our
Mm,
booth set up, and we're gonna, we'll have some stuff on hand, for anything that might break for the drivers and things like that, and
mm,
fluids, all that kind of stuff. The same thing with Power Tour. We're gonna be at every stop of the Power Tour this year. We're gonna have one of our cars driving in it as well. So, we'll have our booth set up and everything. We've got our trailer. We've kind of outfitted for trackside support, so we'll be
mm.
there for that too.
Cool. Yeah, I think Power Tour usually has autocross at some of their stops, don't they?
They do, and the guys that run the Adrenaline Driving Series out of Nashville, that's at least where they're based. They're going to be running the autocross. I think they're doing two different locations. Are getting autocross this year, and then two of them are going to get drag racing this year.
Oh, cool. Cool. I think that it's only passed through my town once, and my car wasn't even, it was in pieces.
Yeah, I've never been anywhere near it. I mean, I guess I was near. I take that back. I was near it when I lived in Tennessee, but I think I was deployed or something at the time it went through, so I wouldn't have been able to go regardless.
Right. Yeah, I went and stood on the street corner and just watched them drive by.
That's cool.
You know? Yeah. It was like I took my lunch break. I work from my house, but still for lunch, I'm like, I'm
Yeah,
gonna go run down there and see how many cars I can see running through
that's
town.
yeah, man,
So,
that's cool.
but I was like, I really wish my car was together. I could be enjoying the fun.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, and that's the thing too, is like that's the one thing that we really push is that our cars are street cars. They can be driven
Oh
anywhere,
yeah.
and that's one of the reasons why we want to make sure one of ours is going to be driving this year because
Mm. Yeah. I'll drive
it's
mine anywhere too.
yeah,
It's
that's one thing we take pride in. I mean, we did the car we built last year. That car had 7,000 street miles on it
mm,
throughout the entire year. I mean, we put some serious miles on that thing.
yeah. I think I'm around 10,000 on mine right now. I'm getting close to turn 10,000
Yeah,
on it. So,
that's cool, man. I
yeah.
mean,
I
we
was just looking at I keep track of the autocross laps and street miles on my race tires.
yeah.
Call me a nerd, whatever. Uh, but yeah, I've got like 1,800 street miles on my and that's just driving to autocross and
Yeah.
back and then plus the laps on it too. So
Oh yeah.
it's time for
It
new
adds
ones to.
up, man. It adds up quick. I've got no clue on track miles because, like the fourth gen we built last year, the odometer works, but the speedometer's kind of messed up and I didn't
Mm,
track any of that.
mm,
But I just know where we drove the car. I mean, we drove
yeah.
that thing, you know, from Bowling Green down to here in Florida after Camaro Fest because we didn't have space in the trailer. We had to take another car back from there. And then we drove it back up to Barber, ran it at USCA, drove it back down from Barber, and then it went from Tampa to Vegas and back to Tampa. I mean that
Nice.
that car got some serious miles last year.
That's awesome. So it seems like the business is heading in the right direction. What's the 5 to 10 year plan for it?
Well, we expansion, for us 5 to 10 years out, we're definitely wanting to get established with a retail front here in Florida. Tampa has one of the most diverse car communities here,
Mm,
and you're getting a little bit of everything. I mean, you've got the exotics, you've got guys in their muscle cars, you've got vets and sports cars, you got a little bit of everything, and it's a strong car community down here.
mm,
And so expansion to getting a retail establishment going. And then, we're looking at setting up, and getting some of our own warehousing established, so we can really corner the market on fast shipping, regardless of where you're at. And, you know, strategically place our inventory and and kind of grow that to where we've got a footprint nationwide, and that footprint nationwide will take care of people with a really fast shipping and things in stock that they want and that need.
mm.
And so that's really the big goal that we're kind of moving towards in the big picture is to really expand our footprint.
Yeah. Yeah, I love what you guys are doing because I mean, part of me starting this podcast was because there's really not a good place to go for information if you're building
Hmm.
a car.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
there's plenty of vendors that make products, but are they any good? Right.
Yeah.
And, you know, I, I thought it'd be good for me to start this to just talk to people, see what's working, what's not working, if they're willing to share what's not working.
Yeah.
But what you create in this business, you've got the experience, you've obviously got a huge network, and you can present those products that work out in the industry.
Oh, yeah, and that's the thing. We've got really good relationships. And ironically, UMI is who introduced me to BMR.
Mm,
And technically speaking, they're competitors, but BMR's got a little bit more diverse product line when it comes to the Ford line, when it comes to Mustangs and things like that. And we've used both products on track builds across the line. I mean, UMI doesn't have a huge fifth gen selection, so we've used a lot of BMR for our fifth gen program. And it's worked very well. I mean, between Tim Gordon, Jason Rawlson, and Jane Barron's cars, we've got every one of them have made to SEMA, and every one of them have performed really well. I mean, Tim had a top five at the Invitational,
nice.
which is, in GT class, that's a tough class to be able to
That's
run in.
tough. They got
And
some
so,
studs in that class.
oh yeah, and so we're not afraid to use things that the internet might tell you is the biggest pile of garbage in the world. I mean, so, and it's not because it's a pile of garbage, it's because that one time somebody used it and,
Yeah.
either they didn't install it correctly or it was old or it was that one off that had a manufacturer defect. You know,
Mm,
we've seen issues with every company, we've seen great products from every company. And so we use what works, what we know works. And, when it comes to, Viking shocks is one of the big things that we know works. And they're economical compared to other racing shocks you get out there. They're not a Penske, they're not an MCS, but 99% of the drivers out there will never feel the difference.
mm,
And they work really well and people win on them. And so I guess this notion that they're not as good, I disagree with that. Quality wise, they are every bit as good quality as any of the others out there.
mm.
They work, they use a different method for operating. And so you know, I'm all about using what works and not having to spend $1 million to make it happen.
Yeah. I think a lot of people get blinded by, oh, it costs a lot, so it must be good.
Yeah,
You know?
100%. And that's the thing too. I've seen top tier suspension parts from companies break from every one of them,
Mm,
and I've seen cheap stuff last. You always get these guys that'll be like, oh, these eBay parts work. I'm like, I won't touch them with a 10-foot pole, but somebody might have made them work for a little while. We don't offer that kind of stuff because there's no real way to back it. There's no warranty that
right.
you can really go to on that. And
Hmm.
I'm not willing to put our name behind something like that. But when it comes to building a car and seeing what's out there and what works, then we're all about what works.
Right. Who runs the OSS social media account?
That's me. So
Really?
I
So
run that thing occasionally. If I'm running short on time, I'll have my brother or somebody post up. But 98% of the time, that's me.
okay. So I gotta say, the posts you put out there, questions, whatever, they're always extremely relatable, which always is very inviting to
Yeah.
engage in the conversation. Every time I
Yeah,
see
man.
them, I'm like, dang it, this is some good stuff.
Yeah, that's because it's something I might have scratched my head about 2 hours earlier,
Right.
and then sometimes we like to stoke some flames, and all the tire drama of last year with tires not being allowed and whatever else. We like to stoke the flames with that and
Mm,
poke a little bit. And sometimes if and we find ourselves in the unique place that we don't like, yeah, we sponsor the Ultimate Streetcar Association, but we're not part of it. Like, we sponsor it, it's
mm,
not our series.
right.
And so if they make a rule that comes out there, or SCCA or Grid Life or whoever, we'll throw out some stuff and try to get people talking and just kind of let the flames burn if it's going to burn. And if I'd like to see what people are thinking, and I think it's important to let people have a place where they can talk and not worry about getting banned because somebody in the series doesn't like what they said or whatever. You
Mm,
know what I mean?
yeah. Yeah. I listened to your podcast that was about the mini trucks versus the full size trucks. And
Yeah,
then I had a couple guys on talking about Arrow and KMT. That's like a,
yeah.
a split right down the middle. Some people want it, some people don't want it. But
Oh, yeah, the arrow argument, the mini truck argument. Oh man, what's a streetcar argument? Is it are we in the spirit of the event if we're letting ABS on older cars and all. I mean, you could argue it till you're blue in the face. And the Drive Auto Extreme addressed it this year. They made
They
a
did.
grassroots vintage class, so
Hmm.
that's an analog class. I mean, you can have fuel injection, but you can't have traction control or ABS or anything like that. So
Right. So I actually had this in my notes to talk about later, but we might as well go now. So while we're talking about controversial stuff, so obviously Optima and there's some other events that really bring some unlimited budget cars with some
yeah.
incredible talent behind the wheel. Um, do you feel like the guys, and this is probably more focused on, I guess, the vintage type stuff. Do
Hmm.
you feel like seeing those cars out there make some of the guys with a more traditional vintage car stay away from those events?
Uh, I think it. No, I don't think that. I do think there is a there's an idea out there that if you don't have a $200,000 build, whether it's in GT class or GTV or any of the others, if you don't have a $200,000 build, that you can't compete and you can't do well. And I don't agree with that notion. And I'll throw a couple examples internally. Jason Rawlson has podiumed multiple times,
Mm,
and he relatively new to racing. And we don't have a ton of work done to his car. We were very focused in what was changed on his car, but it's very, very attainable by anybody that wants to go out and buy a fifth gen. Same
mm,
thing with Tim Gordon's car. Last year we built that 98, and that 98 we set out to build a car that could get to SEMA an entire year's inclusive budget of, and this didn't include our transportation to get to each event, but tires and the entire build from buying the car all the way through it with a crate motor, we wanted to get it under 40K for the entire thing of the car. We were able to finish the season, including buying tires, at $36,000, which included buying the car. And so, and that car, I think I finished 45th out of like 73 overall at SEMA, which, given where you're at, it's the best of the best.
that's the
I'm
best of the
more than
best.
happy with the plate, and I drove the car there and back. And so
Hmm.
it's not like it was some trailer queen that we struggled to get through. Like, that was a very reliable car. So I think there's an idea that you have to do that to be competitive or to go have fun, and I disagree with that. And you got a lot of guys that come out there in stock cars, and then they slowly start modifying them as they progress in the series. And so I think the idea that you got to do that is not accurate. I think just people need to understand that go out and drive, get in the
Mm,
car and have fun. And the USCA events are a great place because you get three different disciplines of driving.
mm,
Um, I think people lose sight of why we do this, and you're not winning anything but a plastic trophy at the end of the season. Like, there's no
right.
real. We're not doing this for money. We're not doing this for fame. It's a passion, and if
Passion.
you lose
Yep.
sight of that, then you're
Y-
you're, you're doing it for the wrong reasons, in my opinion.
Right. You think Optimal will ever adopt that grassroots vintage class?
I don't know if the Ultimate Streetcar Association will. I I don't know. I know that there's been some changes. They, for a while, EVs were their own class, and then they pulled them into the sport class, and they had some things like that. I don't know if they will change anything along those lines. I mean, it's not out of the possibility. I mean, they're running it in Drive Auto Extreme, and it seems to be a healthy class. I mean, it's actually attracting quite a few people,
Mm,
so it's possible that that could be a door for others to get in.
yeah. I know in like drag racing, you know, there are classes with not enough rules and
Hmm.
that kills the class. And then the
Yeah,
opposite of that is too many rules and that kills the class too. So,
yeah.
what's I just hope that that doesn't happen with what we like to do, right?
Oh yeah, I agree. And I think the hard part is that, you want to add rules to make it fair for everybody, but then at the same time, you start hamstringing the class along, and then you lose people because they don't want to deal with all the rules.
Right.
You see a lot of people that come to Drive Auto X or they come to USCA because they don't want the SCCA rule set, which is very, very strict.
Hmm.
But at the same time, when it's too loose, you get classes that kind of run away. And like I think drag racing, the thing that I'm impressed most about with drag racing, and I'm not a big drag racer, and I don't know a lot about it, but I think what's impressed me the most is the fact that you can set up index classes. you know, 10-10 index, you got to run a 275 tire. Boom, end of the day. And then they go run that. And if they break out, they break out. So you could build an 8 million horsepower car, but it ain't
Right.
going to do you any good. I
Right.
mean, ideally, you want to build a car that runs exactly 10-10 and you
Mm.
can turn it up a little bit for good track conditions, or turn it down, whatever you need to do.
Mm.
Um, but I don't know how you can do that when we're doing road course stuff and
Right.
autocross stuff. It's
Yeah.
just really challenging. I mean, you could try to set up a dial in, but I don't see if that would work,
No.
and it would make the timing very complex. It's easy on a drag strip. It's not quite that easy
Right.
when you're talking about a road course or autocross.
Agree. Agree. All right. Let's talk about Camaro Fest.
Yeah.
Um, I didn't never hear about this, to be honest with you, until y'all took ownership of it.
took it
Because
and
I'm not a Camaro
ran.
guy, so why would I care, right?
Yeah.
So,
It's a lot of fun, man. It's exciting.
so how long's it been around? You said you bought it last year.
We bought it last year. It has
Hmm.
been here since 2010.
Oh, wow.
It started out as a fifth gen only event, and it ran that way until the sixth gen came out. And when the sixth gen came out, it was five and six. And I think in 17 or 18, they opened it up to all generations. And it's been around since 2010. And in the early days, it started from a bunch of guys on the forum like, hey, let's go run out at track and have a track day.
Oh,
And
cool.
so, their first event was in Georgia, South Georgia Motorsports Park. And
Hmm.
then they went to Firebird Raceway in Arizona the next year. And then years 3 and 4 were at Lucas Oil in Indy. Well, it's not Lucas Oil now, but Indy Raceway Park.
Hmm.
And then it finally settled and had a home in Bowling Green, I think in 15 or 16, and it just kind of stayed there. But yeah, it's been an ongoing thing, and I think 2018 is when they formalized the event and kind of broke it away from the forum, because the forum was owned by it's owned by a private company, the Camaro5.com and Camaro6.com. I don't know who owns it or anything like that, but they were kind of the ones fronting everything to make it happen. And so in 2018, the event organizers separated. They formed an LLC to kind of manage the event, and just ran from there. And so we became involved with it in 21. I went and attended the first one I'd been to in a while. And then in 22, we sponsored the autocross, and we just became very close with the guy that owns it, or the guy that did own it, and he's actually become a really close friend of mine. We've done a lot of work to his Camaro. He's got a ZL1 1LE, and we've done quite a bit for him, and it just worked out. He didn't want to continue running it, but he also didn't want to see it go to the wayside or get sold off to one of the bigger companies that kind of changes the way the event goes.
Right.
So we ended up working out a deal to where we were able to buy the event, and we're running full steam ahead.
Okay. So is it similar to like LS Fest, drag race, autocross, car show?
Yeah, it is. So we've got the event this year is July 9 through 11. And on Thursday, the 9th, we're doing a track day in HPDE at NCM. And so we'll run there all day long. And then Friday and Saturday, we do autocross drag racing and a car show. And so the drag racing, we've got the same folks that have been running the drag racing for LS Fest, all of the fest events this year, are helping, or they're running the drag race for us. And we're excited about that. We've got some new classes this year. We've got some really big sponsors. Guys like Vengeance Racing coming on board to sponsor it, and Prey Performance, who's really big in the Gen 5 LT engine crowd. So we've got Tremec Transmissions is on board as well. They're sponsoring our stick shift class,
Oh, cool.
and then the autocross, UMI Performance came on board to sponsor the autocross, and so we've got that, and we're doing you know 3 sessions essentially, but you can run all the sessions you want, but we'll take 3 qualifiers from each class from each session for the shootout. And the shootout we're going to set up similar to what Drive Auto X does, Drive Auto Extreme does with their pursuit round, but we're calling it Spectator Autocross because it's right in the bowl there in Bowling Green.
Mm.
And so that is going to be two cars head to head, no time. Cone penalty means you're DNF'd, and that's the end of it. So we're going to set that up to where two cars will head to head, and that'll be a pretty cool deal. And the drag racing, like I said, we've got a lot going on with that. We're looking to have a couple exhibition cars come out this year and run with us too, some pro mod type stuff to just really kind of showcase the event.
Right.
So it's a big deal, man. It's a big deal for the Camaro folks.
Yeah, yeah. How many I mean, are you seeing a good turnout of pre-registered cars
Our
already?
pre-registrations for participant this year are the highest we've had, and I think the highest numbers, looking at the history that they gave me when we took it over, about last 5 years, it's the highest we've had in about 5 years.
Nice. That's
And
awesome.
so we're looking really good on the pre-registrations. We had probably 700 cars there last year, between
Dang.
yeah, as spectators are, a lot of people come and just spectate, bring their Camaro and they spectate. They don't
Mhm.
they don't necessarily run. So we get Camaro and Firebird only parking inside the track, and at the we rent out the parking lot at the convention center there in Bowling Green, and we will have 600 cars, Camaros, all parked in there at nighttime, and we have big, kind of a social hour in the evening, and 10 p.m. every night it's Cackle Fest, and somebody a couple years ago started it, and then everyone's revving their engines up and doing all sorts of fun stuff. And so this year we're bringing in a band to play for us, and we'll have some live music and everything during the parking lot thing, and we're excited, man.
Is
It's going to
that
be a lot of fun.
is that every night at the convention center?
The hangouts are, yes.
Okay.
The music will only be Friday night, and then Saturday night, Summit Autocross Week. They are going to be finishing up
Yep.
their stuff Saturday at NCM as well. So we have invited all of the staff and participants from Autocross Week to come hang out with us after they get finished up, because we're already going to be there at the convention center, and so
Yeah.
I figured,
I'm going to that. I'll be there.
nice. So yeah, come on and hang out after y'all get done. We'll
Yeah.
be uh we'll be hanging out at the convention center having a good time.
Yeah. Awesome. So it was kind of I don't remember if I heard you talking about him on one of your shows. Your rules, getting back to rules, your rules for the autocross, I find are very interesting, and I think it seems like it will be a pretty good equalizer for cars.
Oh man, we put so much time into that. So the rule template, we when it initially started, somebody with a lot of Excel, Microsoft Excel brain power, come up with this algorithm, so
Hmm.
based on modifications to get a point total. And we kind of dissected that. And originally it ended up giving cars way too much credit for horsepower and not enough credit for anything else.
Hmm.
And so you'd see guys that do like a head cam intake setup on a fifth gen making 550 horsepower get classed with, Z28s and 1LEs. And it's like, this guy has stock suspension and he's running 400 treadwear tires. I, he doesn't belong in that place.
Right.
And so we dissected it, and we took a bone stock from the factory ZL1 1LE.
Hmm.
And then Sean Aldinger, who's got an absolutely beautiful first gen, and I know a lot about the build. He's one of our customers, and him and I have talked quite a bit about what he's done to his car. And we're like, these are on paper and on the track perform very similarly. So we took Sean's car and we took the ZL1 and we dissected them to what makes them what. And we wanted to create a scoring method of making these cars equal on paper. And so we took every single component you could add or take away or change, and we put them into basically a yes or no block, and each yes or no block gives a certain point total.
Hmm.
So, for instance, adjustable sway bars. If you have an adjustable sway bar, we give you extra points for it. And the ZL11 Elite comes with them factory, so it compensates for that in the fact that it does. And then we did a modifier for every generation. So, like, a sixth generation base, if you have nothing else on it but just the base car, is worth like 25 points in this algorithm, whereas a first gen is worth 5. And so we separate it, and then engine size calculates into it, wheels and tire size. And then we broke it down by tread wear too. So, like,
Hmm.
if you got a 100 tread wear tire, that gives you more points than a 200. And we tiered it to where you see the biggest difference in cars, to really make sure that it scores them fairly. And so I think we've got a pretty good system here. It took a lot of work to get added to this, and I think if we, with a little bit of thinking, we could probably modify this to work with just about any front engine rear drive muscle car, a
Mm.
Challenger, a Mustang, we could probably make it work for just about anything. You just, we focused it specifically on the F body platform because that's what we were working with, and we know the
Mm.
generation cutoffs and all that.
Right. So is this the first year you'll be using that
No,
method?
we used it last year. It was a kind
Mm.
of a test run, and it worked out really well. Cars and the way we set it up too, it's like we don't know what the classes are going to be until everybody puts in what their car has.
Mm.
And we have them do that. We'll send an email out so they can fill that stuff out, and then we'll take and tally all their result, all their answers and everything, and then we'll start to figure out classing. And so we shoot to make every class equal sized. And so it's basically where the car's point totals are clustering, and then we'll put cutoffs in between and kind of separate them that way.
Yeah.
So a car on the very high end of class one could
Mm.
potentially still be competitive in class two, but again, it's kind of putting them in their groups, respective groups, to keep the class numbers as equal as we can.
Yeah. That's a pretty cool way to do it.
It took a lot of effort to figure out, but when we went through it, we took like 10 different cars, that some that we knew were fully built and some that we knew were bone stock, and just kind of went off of that, and it worked pretty well. For instance, a bone stock Z28 is 150 points, whereas a bone stock ZL11LE is, I think, 200 points.
Okay.
And it puts them in separate classes, generally speaking. Um, I think an SS1LE, a fifth gen SS1LE, came in at like 115, 120 points, something like that.
Okay.
And it ends up working out, and when you
Yeah.
calculate each point total up for everything a car has, whether it's factory or not, it makes it work out pretty well.
Yeah. That's pretty cool. I like it. I like it. So, prizes for winners, money, trophies. What do they get?
So for the autocross, we got a sponsor on board for the trophies this year called Rusty Dog Designs, and he's out of Louisiana, and he
Oh,
does some absolutely amazing plaques and trophies. He's a military focused guy. He was in the Air Force for a long time, but his stuff's absolutely amazing. So he's going to be making the trophies for us this year, and that'll be the big thing for most of the winners that are for any of the main stuff. But for the drag racing, um, the classes that we've got sponsored, all that sponsorship money is going right back to the drivers, and we're doing payouts for first, second, and third on classes that we do have sponsorship for.
oh, nice,
So
nice.
we're going to do that, trying to help that out, and then when it comes to the rest of the series and all that stuff, the rest of the event, we'll have the trophies. And last year Redline Oil supported us with a case of oil to each one of the winners, and we're going to work to get that done again this year too. I mean, oil's gotten expensive, man. So if we can do something about it, we definitely will.
I actually need to do an oil change now. So it's been a while, so it's probably
Yeah,
time. Oh shoot.
I just
Where
did the
do you
race.
know
I did
what?
the race car this morning.
Oh yeah. Do you know what part of Louisiana that guy's in?
Oh man, he's up near Shreveport.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's right near the Texas border off of 10. He lives like, you take an exit off of 10 and you can throw a rock at his house.
Okay. I'll have to look him up. So
Yeah, he's really good. He's got some pretty awesome stuff.
okay. Well, let's talk about your hot rod. So
Yeah,
you
man.
had a third gen?
I've
Or
got two now. Yep,
okay.
I've got everyone knows me from the third gen, and then I got a fourth gen that's we're going to bring on the Power Tour this year, and start running again too.
Okay.
But the
Well,
third gen's a beast, man. That thing, I actually just went and did a once over for it today, and I'm heading up to the firm on Sunday to go run one of their track attack events.
okay. What tell us about it. What is it?
So started life as an '86 IROC Z28. This was before the 1LE option existed, but this car came factory with 373s with a 5 speed and rear disc brakes,
Hmm.
which and no AC. So like,
No
if it
ways.
could have been, yeah, if you could have picked out a 1LE in '86, this is pretty much what it would have been.
Okay.
Since I bought it, it's gone. Like, the only thing left on that car that's still stock is the rear diff, and I think the rear diff and the body. um, 383 crate motor, circle track crate motor. My old one I had in it was a pretty healthy, it was about a 500 horsepower 383, and it lost oil pressure on it, and it turned out to be two rod bearings and a cam bearing. Decided they didn't want to hang out anymore. It didn't knock, it didn't spin a bearing. They were done.
Hmm.
So T56 swapped it, and I'm running a full UMI suspension on it with Viking coilovers, and got the cage done in it. It's got a 8 point cage that completely ties in, with a halo bar and all that, and the roof
Hmm.
bar. And it's gone over a lot of changes over the years, and it's got a Willwood brake setup that we've kind of fabricated. When I really started building that car, I built it in a carport when I was, living in North Carolina at the time, and so a lot of it's the epitome of a budget build. I mean,
Hmm.
it's using Willwood brakes on it, but it's not any other kits. It's stuff that we kind of piece together to make work, and it works. It doesn't
Hmm.
work as good as probably could if I would put a straight up kit on it, but it works pretty well.
Right.
And it's for how I built that thing and what we've got now. I mean, it's become quite the car. It's pretty fast. It handles really well, and minus the fact that it is archaic. It's gas pedal and brake pedal, and that's all you got, man. There's nothing else to it.
Is that so third gen? Did they have torque arms in that generation?
Yeah,
Yep.
that's when they started the torque arm. So
Okay.
it's still got the torque arm set up in there. I've got it
Mm.
removed off of the transmission to help with that a little bit, and we've kind
Mm.
of dialed in the geometry. And it eventually I'd like to get a decoupled torque arm in it because it definitely helps with getting your forward bite, and then
Mm.
it's not having the brake hop that you end up having with torque arms, when they're set wrong.
Mm.
But it's a heck of a fun car, man. I mean, it is a blast to drive, and it compared to that the 98 we built last year, because I drove that most of last year, and that actually that car belongs to my brother now.
Okay.
But when you compare the two, I've probably got about a 400 to 500 pound lighter car, and it just blows your mind at how nimble it feels compared to the bigger car.
Hmm. Okay.
And really, it's not that it's a bigger car; it's just it don't weigh anything. I mean, third gen's gutted. There ain't nothing to it.
There's something fun about the old analog stuff, though. I
Oh
mean,
man, it is. It is
I
absolutely.
I've never driven anything modern on autocross, but I don't know. I just like I don't know, something about it. It's just
Yeah.
raw and with worn out tires, it makes it even more fun.
Oh man.
As seen last Sunday by everybody watching me.
Oh man, and I'll tell you too, this year I had a set of RE71s on it that I'd had on the car for a couple of years, but I hadn't tracked it. They were never used, but they were a few years old. And I'll tell you this, anyone that says that tires don't lose grip over just sitting,
Mm.
well, they've never drove a car that had 3-year-old tires on it, because that thing was it was on ice skates, man. I ended up flat spotting the fronts,
Oh, geez.
blew a tire, corded the tire. It was all sorts, and like not even a whole full event on them, man. So it's it definitely was a little
Yeah.
bit more of a ride than I would expect.
Mine, I've noticed they were starting to drop off, uh, like event before last and then last weekend. We had a big sweeper and I
Yeah.
was full drift mode all the way. I just
Yeah, I
started
did,
to
I did
embrace it by the end of the day. I'm like, well, I know what it's going to do, so I might as well just stay in it, do some
that
counter
happened when
steering.
we were yeah, man, that happened at NOLA, and I went full lock on it, and the tire caught, hit a divot, compressed the suspension at full lock turning right, wheels all the way to the right in a slide, and it cut the tire, and I lost the front right. I don't know how I didn't spin the dang thing out. I thought it was going to come around on me, but it somehow held.
Oh yeah, you did the Optima race here, huh? Yeah.
Yeah, it was
Okay.
yeah, NOLA and G2 are the two that we ran this year.
Okay. Yeah, Nola's my home track, so that's where I
Oh man,
autocross.
that's awesome.
Yeah, yeah, and
That's a
and
fun place.
I did a lemons race earlier this year on the big track too. So
No kidding.
what'd you think about the track? Do you like it?
Well, that was my second time running there, and I enjoyed it. I wish I would have had a little bit better better outing. I mean, I got down to a two flat in the car, which I matched my time from last year in a different car, so I was happy with that. But I definitely know that there was more time left in the car. But I had the radiator popped a leak on me halfway through Sunday, and so I ran into town and found just an OEM replacement to put in the car. But it couldn't keep up, man. I mean, I think 1.5 laps into there, the thing was pushing 250, 260
Ooh.
degrees. So I had to cool it down. And I was running the tires. Fortunately, one of the other guys at NOLA had a set of tires I could borrow. And he's like, dude, they're takeoffs. I got one event. I'll sell them to you for, whatever. And I said,
Mm,
okay, sweet, man. So I was able to put some 285s on it to at least get through the weekend, but that was, normally I run a 315 on there. So I was not in my, best case scenario to run a personal best there, but
mm.
at least matched last year's time, which I was pretty happy with.
Yeah, the two flats that's pretty respectable. Yeah,
Yeah, I was happy with it.
yeah. That you were in the fourth gen.
No, well, so I was in the fourth gen last year and I ran the
Mm.
two flat last year in the fourth gen. And then this year I was in the third gen and ran that two flat in the third gen too.
Yeah, that's pretty good. That's pretty good.
So,
Yeah. Um, they had some. I mean, they got some Corvette guys running what 150s, like 155,
oh
156.
yeah,
So yeah,
man.
you're not far off from
Yeah,
those guys, you know?
there's some dudes that were freaking screaming and like Dayton De La Houssaye, it's his home
Yeah.
track as
Of
well. Man,
course.
God, he
Yeah.
ran like
Yeah.
a 145. It was
Yeah.
his personal best that weekend too.
Yeah.
I'm like, gee,
He's
that's
there all the time though.
oh man, that guy he is a wheel man.
Yeah. Yeah. His car is kind of cool too.
Oh, it definitely is, man. That thing it's a monster of a friggin' Miata.
I think didn't Smitty run like a 151 or two or something like that?
I think he did. Yeah,
Yeah.
he had a pretty good solid weekend as well. I think Dave Schatz was down in the 140s. It was
Whew.
like the high 140s. It's just when you think about how fast that is. I mean, out of that front stretch, I was about 45, 4,600 RPMs into fifth gear. And on my car, I think that's about 138, 140 miles an hour, somewhere around there.
Hmm.
And that's moving out pretty good. But to think about it, to get cut 15 seconds a lap off a lap time, you're probably pushing 160 miles an hour. I mean,
I bet they are.
screaming.
I
Like,
bet I passengered in a Cayman. It was a race car, but it's a stock car. So the car's stock,
yeah,
but it's gutted, cage, fire system, all that stuff. But it's got good brake pads and slicks on it.
yeah.
Other than that, suspension, engine, everything's stock. I passengered and he went a 151.
Oh, man.
And I think he got up to around 160, 165
Oh, yeah.
before turn one. And let's just say I was good for about 6 or 7 laps, and I'm like, get me out of this
Yeah,
thing.
it's when you're not driving, it's hard to sit there and ride passenger, man. It is.
It is.
I don't know how instructors do it. I've gotten in and rode with people for a couple laps, and I couldn't do it all day long. I don't know how those guys do that.
No. And, you know, I had done some laps there in a Miata prior to getting in this Porsche. So, you know, things were moving a lot faster at
Yeah,
160, and I'm hitting the imaginary brake pedal because
yeah.
turn one's getting there quick,
Oh yeah,
but
man.
it was it's a blast. So I know what it feels like, at least from a passenger's perspective, to do those times, and it's impressive, very
Oh
impressive for
yeah, it
sure.
definitely is.
Yeah, but um, let's see. So are you gonna be running the third or fourth gen mostly this year?
I'll be in the third gen. So right now, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm happy about this, but I know it's not gonna last long. But I'm sitting first place in Outlaw.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
I think that's going to probably change when Road America hits.
Mm,
Bob Selby's heading back up there, and he took first place in Outlaw at G2 this year, and so I'm running the third gen. And if the things work out at the end of the season, and I got enough points by the time this all shakes out, then I'll take the third gen back out again. But yeah, it'll be the primary car for this year for when I'm running. Other than this weekend event coming up this Sunday, and then I'll be at Drive Auto Extreme at NZM next Sunday, or not next Sunday, but 2 Sundays from now. I probably won't do much driving outside of potentially SEMA at the end of the year if I happen to earn an invite.
mm,
My brother did earn his invite at NOLA. He got the Spirit of the Event award, and so I'll be there regardless. But it may be in support capacity for him and his first trip out there.
yeah. Why outlaw class?
The third gen has no interior. It is completely gutted.
Oh,
I've
okay.
got it. I don't even have a dash in there. I made a piece of aluminum and stuck gauges in it. That's my dash. It
Okay.
is completely gutted. So it is an outlaw car through and
I,
through.
I got you. I got you. Yeah.
I don't think the
Is
thing
is
weighs
that
3,000 pounds.
is that car class super competitive like some of the others?
Uh, so it's not in the sense of you've got your when you get to SEMA, it is.
Okay.
It's one of the smallest classes through most of the events. But when you get to SEMA, you got guys like this year you're gonna have Bob Sobey, Duke Langley, Jake Jackson. Those guys are incredibly fast, and when you get there, it's going to be an incredibly competitive class. But when you're a lot of times you don't see as much competitive nature when you're at an event because there may be one or two cars in the class. But once you get
Mhm.
to SEMA, though, that's where it really turns it up.
Okay. All right. Let's uh let's roll into my random questions. So,
Yeah, man, send it, man.
uh, what kind of music you listening to when you're wrenching on the car?
It depends, man. It depends on if I know how frustrated I'm gonna be on the car. So if I know it's going to be a giant pain in the butt, I'll throw some classical on there. I'll just throw Spotify on. I'll play like a Bach,
Okay.
Symphony Number 9, and let that carry through the rest of the day. But
Mm.
um, that, or sometimes I'll throw on the 70s, 80s classic rock and let that kind of play through. And then occasionally I'll throw on the early 2000s pop punk. I mean, it just depends on what's happening that day.
Okay. Uh,
I even got a soft place for some 50s, 60s soul.
the classical stuff would just piss me off more, so I'm not having that anymore.
Oh man, that's for times when I really know it's going to be a challenging process.
I think I'd probably rather sit in quiet.
There's that too, man. There's been a few times for that.
Oh goodness. What aftermarket product you think's made the biggest impact on our sport?
Oh man, as far as aftermarket, I'd probably say wheels because they're so universal. I mean, people throw them on for looks, but at the same time, you can throw them on and make a huge difference in the performance of your car. I mean, for instance, well, I'll use a fifth gen Camaro. The wheels on those cars weigh like 40 pounds each stock. They're
God,
heavy.
Jesus.
Yeah, you're talking like they're heavy. And if you go and take, a stock fifth gen Camaro with stock wheels, they're a 20, I think it's a 20 by 8.5 up front and a 20 by 9 in the rear, something like that. And you replace them with, say, even Ford Stars, it's, an inexpensive, rotary formed wheel, or, you step up to a forged line on that thing and you go to a 19-inch wheel, you've dropped 20 pounds per corner in just wheel.
Dang.
And you can go to a wider wheel and get, a 285 or a 295, or, we can fit 305s on those things without any modifications to the car. And it will completely change the way the car feels. It's going to handle better. You're going to have more grip and it's going to feel more nimble because you're taking so much rotating mass off the car.
Hmm. Yeah, that's
So
a good one.
I'd say that's probably the biggest because it goes well beyond racing. It also goes to just people that want a cool looking wheel on their car.
Hmm.
It's usually the first thing that people buy when they buy a car.
Yep. All right, this next one you already did, but you're gonna have to do it again.
Hey, it's all good, man.
$50,000 budget. What you building?
Well, we did it once with the fourth gen. I think I was gonna do it all over again. If I was gonna do it all over again, I think I'd do it with a fifth gen this time because
Okay.
they're the heaviest of every generation that's ever come out. But I think with again very focused planning, you can still make them very competitive. And 50K budget, I'd probably go pick up a low mileage for about 20,000
Mhm.
and go to town.
Okay. That's cool. Oh,
Yeah,
it's funny when you mentioned you built the other car for 40. I was like, oh well, I knew I had this written down.
yeah. I think the next one would be a fifth gen, man. And again, everything that we've done for development on Tim's car and Jason Rawson's car and Jade's car, like we've learned so much. And we know what you have to change to make it handle right and do right, and what you don't have to. And so I think some focused attention, you could have a car that would compete for the top spot at just about any event where it fits in.
Cool. All right, man. Before we wrap it up, social media, sponsors, you want to shout out?
Yeah, man. Biggest shout out I want to thank is, Redline Oil. They were our very first sponsor and they've been with us ever since. And we're doing a lot of work with them this year. So I want a big thank you to them and UMI, BMR, Willwood, Viking. Viking is the presenting sponsor for Camaro Fest this year. And Chris and those guys over at Viking have been nothing but awesome for us and helping us grow. And so big shout out to those guys as well. And yeah, we're on, Instagram, Facebook, and all that at OSS Parts for our handle for all of them. And then same thing with YouTube. And then the website's www.ossparts.com.
Yeah. Oh, and I think we forgot to mention he does podcasts. It's usually live, Facebook
Yeah,
Live, right on Mondays.
we do it live every Monday. It's
Mm,
at 8 Eastern, 7 Central, and we'll pull them, if we'll pull them and post them to Spotify usually the next day. So,
mm. That's usually where I pick them up because,
yeah,
like,
it's hard for people to
mm,
pick it up that night, but even what's interesting is we actually get better we get better viewership during football season than we do during the off season. I think people are watching the podcast while watching football at the same time.
well, car guys don't care about that
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah, man.
That's a funny, that's interesting. Yeah.
It is. It's weird. It doesn't make sense, but it's how it seems to work out.
Yeah. Cool. All right, man, this was really good. I was excited to when you agreed to come on. I
Heck
know
yeah,
you got a
man.
ton going on and you're busy, so taking time out to chat with me
Heck yeah,
means a
man. I'm
lot.
I'm happy to be here. It's a good thing, you've been doing this for quite a while, man, and you've got
Mm.
a really cool thing going. It's cool to finally be a part of it, man. I really appreciate you having me on.
All right. Thank you, man. Have a good night.
Take care, brother.
Mm.